Good morning, Dr. Barbara Johnson, and how are you today?
I'm cold, I'm chilly, but it's all good. Thank you. How are you today?
Well, it's a great day, and I feel awesome. And I know today we're gonna have a good session. And today we're jumping into chapter 6 of Wimp to Warrior, Self-Transcendence. So, Barbara,
Um,
just talk to us about chapter 6 on self-transcendence.
so, self-transcendence, the terminology came from Dr. Viktor Frankl's work, and it is about the increased capacity that we have within ourselves, from the depth of ourselves, Ron, that challenges the inherited conditioning from our parents, from our culture, from our environment, the the foundation of who we are, challenged across 5 areas that gives us a reason to rise up, gives us tools to rise up beyond that which we are conditioned into.
And why does this matter, Barbara?
Well, it does matter if you're wanting to grow yourself beyond the box you've been put in. So the box we've been put in comes from the conditioning of our past. If we want to grow into our true selves and into our unique happiness, we have to challenge the past, and we have to find ourselves beyond the thinking and the programming of the past generations before us.
And Barbara, what I found quite interesting of the generations before us, and I'm just looking at the other things that's happened, especially now with AI, you know, and I'm just going to use an example, and maybe you can guide me through this. I mean, if I look at my gran and granddad, and they were born probably in the 1800s, and the vehicles came through in the early 1900s, and they said, "Hang on, it's going to take your job away because we used to horsepower." And all of a sudden, Henry Ford came in and says, "I'm going to build universities that people understand that you have to have some form of education, that you have to work with us." And we've got this mindset of being in a box because it's here, everything flows through. And what's quite important, what you just said, is I only finding my getting out of the box in the last 5 or 6 years, or when I've been working with you. It's because I always thought of others first instead of myself first. I always looked at others succeeding, not me first, because people were piggybacking on my knowledge and my skill set. And this is where a lot of people come through of not having the right mindset. Um,
Our environment,
yeah,
what we've inherited from past generations, unless we start challenging those areas in our lives, we are going to stay at a status quo of previous generations. My belief is that we are here on earth to evolve, not only ourselves, but to evolve humanity itself through challenging the conditioning that we were brought into.
100%, Barbara. And what are the 6 areas of transcendence?
So I just mentioned them. Actually, they are the psychology, the way we think, the
Okay.
mindset. It's the way we were conditioned to perceive our lives. It is the body that we carry. So in my case, for instance, I come from a combination of stocky male father and tall, slim mother. And I have a bit of both, just to complicate things. But but I have chosen not to go stocky father route because that is too natural for me. So I've had to consciously always transcend thinking about the way I eat, the way I move, the way I do things inside my body. And fortunately, to date, I reckon I'm doing pretty well, so that I have a balanced body, the body that I prefer than the one that I inherited.
100%.
So another area is around our socializing, our social connections. Another one is around our environment, and then what we've inherited from the perspective of the whole family dynamic. Those are the 5 areas that are the most common and the ones that Dr. Viktor Frankl pointed out to us.
And Barbara, you mentioned something important, and that's friends. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your paycheck. It's because if you're going to work with 5 negative people, you're going to become the 6th one. But if you work with 5 positive people, you can become the positive one. And by working with 5 positive people, that's where I see transcending takes a big space, a place in a person's life, because you become more powerful in self and growing self. And this is what I've learned through you, especially from Yes, Yes, You and reading the book Wimp to Warrior, which I think is very important. You also speak about what is the crude to an orchid, the metaphor, and what do the crude and the orchid represent?
Okay, so the word you using crude, it is crude, but in my pronunciation, it's crud. So the crud
Okay,
is the
crud, sorry.
junk. It's okay. We know each other well enough, right?
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, so excuse me.
Yes, no problem. So the crud is the pain.
Okay.
The crud is the difficulty. The crud is the polite way of saying something not so polite, right? And the crud is something that we get a chance to utilize as the fertilizer, if you will, for the orchid. So it was Dr. Viktor Frankl who told us that we were to become better people, not in spite of, but because of the very circumstances that we find ourselves in. So that in spite of is the crud. The thing that we get to do in the pain and in the difficulty is we can either make this about victimhood or about victory. I can either say it's understandable that I'm upset, or I can turn it around and say, even though this could be upsetting, I have chosen not to be upset. And in that energy, Ron, we get to create something beautiful. In my metaphor, it's the orchid.
And I think that's so crucial to everybody. It's very easy to get upset. So as I say, as it goes, is if you wake up in the morning and you put the wrong foot out of the bed, your whole day will turn. And you get out, you kick your toe, and then you bump over the coffee, and you'll say to yourself, I'm just waiting for the 3rd thing to happen. You're already expecting something to happen instead of saying, it's my fault. I should have seen that my shoe is underneath the bed, and my stupidity where the cup is. I won't put it there again. By creating that positive mindset, you don't have to wait for the 3rd thing to happen, because you're going to go through the whole day of what's going to happen next. And that's what the sad part about people is if you get into an argument, get over it and just have a smile, take a walk, take a big breath, do some journaling, and carry on, because it's pointless of wasting your time for the day. You also speak about what are the 4 stages of the story of growth cycle.
So I call it the creative cycle, And the creative cycle, Ron, has 4 stages: a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the end part, stage number 4, is the part that most of us forget about. So it is the simplicity of an analogy, for instance, is the seed. The seed is in the ground, it's in the dark, it's unknown, it's scary, doesn't know what's coming. The second part of that 4-piece cycle is the seed breaking its shell and putting down a little root and little bit of a shoot. It's got some movement, it's got some action, it's got a little bit of purpose. It still doesn't know what's happening. It breaks through the earth. There's light, there's water, there's action, there's something going on above the darkness. There's hope. Then this little seed transforms itself into a tree. Let's call it an apple tree. The apple tree creates the fruit. The action of our lives is created at this time. The planning has been done. The little seed in the shoot is about the planning. The apple tree is about the action. And the 4th section of this 4-piece cycle, the piece that I said people usually forget, is the harvest, is the celebration, is the thing of results, and results seen and results not seen, results that are happening in the background, percolating, adding benefit for our courage to step into action, and a cycle that now completes itself into the highlighted energy, the confidence to get on to the next cycle, the next new beginning.
And Barbara, I think it's so important, and I've seen it so many times, especially in my business where I help over-indebted consumers to become debt-free and maybe qualify for a home loan. They get so stuck when something goes wrong. It's like, for instance, I had a client yesterday. They're looking to plug so many holes, they will sell stuff, which is an asset, just to pay to cover one debt, but not realizing what they're doing. They're taking from Peter to pay Paul, instead of just sitting down and speak about that apple tree, speak about that seed, put it on a journeying platform and say, okay, what can I do differently? Maybe I have to let it go instead of losing everything, because we get so stuck in our mindset of what now? But with chapter 6, I think will help a lot of people of understanding themselves, going through that journey. And I call it the caterpillar journey as well. Sometimes the caterpillar has to go through the pain to break out, to become that beautiful butterfly, to have that freedom. And this is sometimes where this book can help that person to become that independence who they want to be. Which brings me to the next point. What exercise does this chapter give you to practice self-transcendence?
I think I have to look. There are some exercises in this book. So basically what we can do is, in order to understand what is happening in a cycle, we need to know where the beginning of the cycle is. So for instance, yesterday I had a disturbing response from a family member. Deflammatory, actually. What I had to do was to sit with the cycle. And yes, I received the difficult message, I sat with it, not knowing, like the seed under the ground. The thing with us trying to become responsible, responsive, not reactive, better people is to sit and be okay in the not knowing. I don't know how I'm going to react to this. My instinct wants to fight back. Is that the best way of going back, creating more of a problem? No. I decided I would hear it, sleep on it. This morning, I have the apple tree growing, as in I know how I'm going to handle it. I have an action plan to put in place. And the action plan will be a response rather than a reaction. The place of harvest and celebration to date, or to this day at least, is unknown. But the actions that I will take today will certainly produce a result, a harvest. And the question then arises, of course, is it a response and a harvest that is going up and positive, or is it a response and that's going to go down negative? I've got to choose between the two, because for both of them there will be consequences. We are going through creative cycles all the time, whether we're making a salad, whether we are creating a new project. Whatever we're doing has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has 4 sections, and it is in the unknown, and it is in the slight action, and it is in the big action, and it is in the celebration that we create a flow of energy. Just like air, water, earth, fire, there's a natural process to everything that we create. It's tricky. And here's the irony, Ron. At about 55%, if the circle is divided into 4 sections, at about 55%, that's where we naturally, humanly want to give up. We think we've done so much, but what we've done actually has been in the darkness, in the unknown, in the planning stages. Action only comes back into flow at 50+%. And the irony is that the action sector is only 25% of the whole 100%. I hope I've been simple. I hope I haven't complicated this. I hope it's understandable.
Barbara, the way I would answer that as well is all of a sudden you get a letter from a boss or a spouse or somebody which is harsh.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it says, I'm going to tell him or I'm going to tell her or whatever it is. And you just start, and you're speaking with frustration without thinking. But if you go back and say, okay, let me break down everything on bits for bits and then respond the next day, you're going to have a clearer vision. And maybe it's just the wording, so it could be wrong. It just could be out of context. But sometimes just that can help you grow and sort or patch up that job opportunity or patch up that game that you're playing or being in whatever sport it is, or it could be somebody pushes you off the road and you just jump out the car with a hammer and you want to smash his window. All of a sudden you land up in jail.
Yeah.
Just be responsive.
That's where this journaling plays such a big thing, because it's the journaling where we can see, where we can calm down, where we can write out the frustration and the pain, rather let the journaling handle the pain, because you don't want to explode and therefore create a bigger and bigger and bigger problem.
And Barbara, the last question. How should you view your past and your foundation according to this chapter's conclusion?
Well, I think the kindest way of handling our past is to realize that the people in our lives, that the environment in our lives, etc., could only do the best that they knew how to do. That if we can come into some understanding from a heart space of acceptance, rather than slating people and circumstances, that we come into a place of appreciating our parents, our teachers, our church, our government, our media, that these are teachings, that these are ideas, not necessarily those which we have to take on for ourselves for a lifetime. That we get to challenge those ideas and choose then for ourselves whether these ideas work or don't work for us. That we have a unique journey to live, that our journey is to make ourselves into better human beings, living a full human experience, having a sense of true self, authenticity, integrity, values, code of honor that are ours, that have the foundation of the past, possibly, but we have discerned. Do they work for us? Do they not work for us? Who am I as this unique human being? And what is the legacy I want to leave into this generational energy field that I too am part of?
Barbara, I think it's so important of looking at your past because the older you get, the wiser and knowledgeable you get because you learn from the past. Just imagine if everything was smooth, you would have never found out about self and growing self. And I'm going to take it as an example. A 21-year-old gets married. Who's he going to ask for advice from? A person that's married for 35 years or a person who is not married and speak to his friend? Yeah. And it's life. Because if he speaks to a person that understands the ups and downs of marriage, it doesn't matter if it's husband and wife, it's a marriage in business, it's a marriage about a project. All of that forms part of the past because, as I said, Elon Musk only had enough money left for the last rocket, but he still went ahead. And he learned from the other three rockets why it didn't work. And sometimes if we want to have a blast off, we need to figure out the past that we can have the blast off.
Yeah.
So Barbara, on that note, we're on the half an hour. So I just want to say thank you very much. And next week, Wednesday, chapter 7.
Chapter 7 next Wednesday. Thank you so much, Ron. Enjoy the
Bye.
wonderful, wonderful day ahead.
Bye.